I'm Richard Warnica, a senior opinion writer at the Toronto Star. Former U.S. President Joe Biden was diagnosed last week with an aggressive form of late-stage prostate cancer. The disease is treatable, according to Biden's doctors, but it is spread to his bones and is not curable. Biden is 82 years old. He was a 2-term vice president, a 7-term senator. He remains the only person to have ever beaten Donald Trump in an election campaign. As a legislator, Biden's achievements were significant. He helped expand medical coverage to tens of millions of Americans. He guided America through a frankly remarkable post-COVID economic recovery. In his later years as president, he pushed through over $1 trillion in infrastructure, tech, and green spending. Had Biden decided in 2022 or 2023 that he was only going to service a single term, had he cleared the room for a successor to actually take on Donald Trump, I think it's very possible he would be remembered, domestically at least, as one of the great post-war presidents. But of course, that didn't happen. The big news in Washington last week was the release of the new book Original Sin by political journalists Alex Thompson and Jake Tapper. The book lays out in exacting and often painful detail the extent of Biden's physical and cognitive decline in the later years of his presidency. It makes it beyond clear that his advisors either knew or should have known that he was going to be in no state to fight, let alone win, a presidential campaign in 2024. That he tried to anyway will be the defining tragedy of Biden's public life. By sticking around until it was far too late, by giving his successor just 4 months to run a presidential campaign, he made a second Trump term not just possible, but I would argue probable. His advisors own part of that. The Democratic Party does too. But Biden was the president. In the end, the choice was his. And the tragedy is that that single choice will now overshadow everything else he accomplished in more than 50 years as a politician. It's unfair in a way. We expect something from our politicians that is almost inhuman in its impossibility. We want them to both have the ego to believe they can win, they should win, they can govern, and have the humility and self-knowledge to know when it's time to walk away. That's so rare. So few people have that. Most politicians stick around far too long. Justin Trudeau did, Stephen Harper did, John Tory did, but the stakes for Biden were so much higher. He beat Trump once, but by sticking around too long, he made a second Trump term possible. America, and possibly the world, will never be the same.